The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production.
Kev, what are you going to do with all this free time you've got over the next couple of weeks? We didn't rehearse that at all, did we? No. Well, I know what you're going to do. You're going to be writing to the council, complaining about your council tax going up.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'll probably be sat outside the cinema with a cap and asking for 10 pence pieces from passing strangers.
Oh, Kevin.
Oh yeah. So I had an email from the council this morning. Lovely, first thing in the morning, 7:30. You pick your phone up, you have a quick glance, see what other things have gone wrong in the world. And the email was like, we've got 3 things to tell you today. First thing, your bin men are on strike, and so you won't be collecting your bins for a month. Your council tax is going up, and the rate of COVID in Wiltshire is much higher than the rest of the country. Have a lovely day.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. You really, really cheered up my Friday morning.
And they seem to be doing less for their money. The authorities, they'll charge you double, but they'll work half as hard for you, Kev. Our local refuse centre, you used to be able to rock up after you'd done a day of DIY and just dump everything you needed to. These days, you have to book an appointment 8.5 weeks ahead of when you think you might need to go, only to turn up and watch them all crowded around the telly. There's nobody there, Kev.
No, actually, I think that's a good thing.
What?
Hear me out. So during COVID, that's what we had to do. The tip stayed open, but you had to book a slot. And it was brilliant because you turned up, they checked your license plate, you went straight in, and you unloaded. Well, I have to go on. In fact, I have to go tomorrow because I've got boxes and boxes of stuff because the bin men ain't coming. And I'll go, and half of Wiltshire will be there, and we'll be queuing out onto the road, and cause accidents, and people will get moody. They'll go home. There'll be divorces because of it. It'll be like the diesel costs. I mean, good Lord, I don't even know if I'll be able to go because I won't be able to get any diesel because all the diesels run out because people are panic buying, and I don't know why they're panic buying because it's £1.89 in our local petrol station, and on the Isle of Wight, £2.18 one petrol station was selling diesel for. So I think they should do scheduled check-ins at tips.
The voice of doom.
The FujiCast.
Kev, I think you should work for one of the tabloids. I tell you what's wrong with this world.
Yeah. Oh, I could. I could write a book.
Well, the only thing that I find a bit strange about the tip is you're right actually that you turn up to the recycling centre and there's nobody there and you get straight in. And when you go out there, you say, well, it's not very busy today. Could you? And they say, no, we haven't seen anybody today. And say, that's because you've got a booking system. People are fly tipping stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, you won't get a chance to hear Kev moaning about the council every single Monday. It'll be once a month, so save them up, Kev. For your once a month thing, but we go to the monthly from a couple of weeks time. So this is our last weekly for the moment. If of course we you never know whether we might well appear again if we have another world situation like COVID where we went daily.
So this is episode 222, isn't it?
Is it 222?
222.
222. Okay.
Almost 2 years and 2 weeks, I think, to the date when we started, something like that.
Yeah.
We did 77 consecutive daily ones, although you did more than that because you did the Saturdays and Sundays.
Well, I only did. Well, then you joined me. I think Gemma bullied you into it, didn't she?
I can't really remember.
She did. She said, "You're doing it, Mullins." I think she did it to get you out of her hair.
I can't really remember it. Yeah.
Go upstairs, do your podcast.
Yeah, so 222, and then so 223 will be on the 4th of April, Monday the 4th of April. That's when you can expect to hear us next.
And we're not changing the format too much. It's still going to be a little bit of a chinwag about what's happened with Kev's week with the council, and then into our questions, as always, from Facebook and also your emails. And we'll have a guest. The book comes back, but we have thought we might go and do a few more things out and about. We might actually do a few street things. Talking of which, Kev, I noticed that you. I know that this one's probably full up, but you're. I got the email this morning saying some spaces left on the street courses.
Yeah, it did fill up, but I will be adding some more. I had a cancellation. Actually, it was somebody from Germany who can no longer make it. So a quick email went out for cancellation and it is sold out. But I do have other workshops available if people do wish. And on that point, if you do really, really want to hear my dulcet tones, you can on the 28th of March, I think I'm doing a free webinar for BenQ. So I think it'll be about 5 p.m. UK time.
Oh, so there we go. For the Mullins devout followers, he's never far from your ears. You're going to have to gin up on your BenQ knowledge, Kev.
I'm not. I'm talking about documentary wedding photography.
Oh, yep. Right. It's sponsored by BenQ. Right, okay.
Yeah, so that's 28th of March, 5 p.m. Just type in BenQ webinars.
I thought for a minute you were teaching us how to use the BenQ monitors and the paddle. And
No, it's not. It's about wedding photography.
Right.
But talking about catastrophes with talks, I was booked in last night to do a talk for a Norwegian camera club.
A Norwegian camera club?
Yeah, on Endre, I think his name is, who listens to the show.
Yeah.
And
Endra.
I couldn't do the first date that we'd arranged. I had to postpone because it was Rosa's confirmation.
Right.
So we arranged for last night, and I thought, yeah, it's perfect. 8 p.m. my time. That gives me an hour between the end of my radio show, and I can get everything sorted. And then literally the radio show started, and then I played some music, and I popped into Google. What's the time in Oslo?
Oh no!
And I thought there were 2 hours.
No, it's 1 hour. It's just 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to, while I was desperately trying to figure out what music I was playing next, email Andre and say, I'm so sorry, but I will be there, but I'll be a half hour late. I'm so sorry. And then I hung up the radio show, plugged in Zoom, jumped straight on. It was it was a nice talk, and it was very friendly, and some lovely people there. But it was catastrophe.
Norwegian camera clubs. Blimey, Kev, your net is growing ever wider.
I got another wedding in Norway. It's interesting because we were talking to the people there, and they were saying that they don't really have the documentary approach. Really, it's not a thing there.
No.
So I got a second wedding in Norway on the first weekend in October.
I'm doing one in Norway.
Are you?
Yeah.
When?
First week in October, I thought.
Oh. Uh-oh. Well, I got the deposit.
You just nicked my wedding. This is a funny way to find out about it. No. Actually.
No, it can't be the same person.
No, I'm going in August for the wedding in Norway. Which is bizarre. On the E6, which is the main road up towards Lillehammer and a few other places, I think I saw the church that I'm going to be working in, which was really strange. It was like, there's the church for the wedding. It might not be, but it looked suspiciously like the one from the picture. I probably should check that. Tommy, if you're listening at the moment, don't worry. I do have the address of your wedding. But yeah, going to Lillehammer, which is where they do all those amazing ski jumps, Kev.
Yeah, it's Lillehammer.
Yeah, gotta be mad, haven't you, to do that? Oh dear.
I don't know where mine is. There's only 6 people going.
What,
it's on the mountain somewhere? Yeah,
there's 6 people going to a wedding in Norway.
I think it's 6. Yeah,
You're the 7th.
They're Norwegian. It's a small wedding, put it that way, and it's in a really beautiful place on a mountain.
Lovely, beautiful.
I think everything's beautiful in Norway, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is, actually. I like Norway. I'm a bit of a Norway fan. Right, questions. Shall we get to your questions? Are you going to go first or me?
You go first, because we had quite a few through the normal channels, haven't we?
Yeah. We've got a bump to the front one, which we should do, shouldn't we?
Yes, of course.
Andy Stonia, who says, Yaddery, etc., etc. I'm archiving all my wedding images from 2004 to 2011, opening all RAW files, exporting them as JPEGs and squishing them down with JPEG Mini. A repetitive and monotonous task, which I find strangely satisfying. So my question is, are there any boring, repetitive, non-urgent jobs that you guys like to do? There's 2 questions. That's his first.
So boring, repetitive jobs.
Don't say recording this with you.
No. I'm pretty... Well, I hate doing like my finances and all that kind of stuff. So I do them every day.
Do you?
Yeah. First thing I do when I come in is I go through my both my personal finances and my business finances. Business finances, not a lot changes day on day. No. Personal finances, somewhat different. Thank you very much, Wiltshire Council. Horses, petrol prices, food prices.
Don't start moaning about your horses, Kev. First world problem.
I could tell you. I tell you, I've got a long no story about that.
Oh, how is Star? Oh, you're right. You don't have to worry so much. There's less McDonald's in the world now for you to go to.
She's fine. Yeah, expensive, but fine. That's so I do that first thing, and I just go through it. And you know, I think we talked about this before, but you know, I'm a big believer in doing the things I'm least interested in first.
It's a very solid way of doing stuff in the day, isn't it? You start with the stuff you least like to do, and by the end of the day, you're rocking and rolling with the stuff you love.
Exactly that. So I do my finances first, then I go through my key emails. Answer anything that needs urgent attention, and then I actually schedule on a kind of, I mean, it's loose, but I usually have a plan for the day in terms of today I'll be doing Kevin Mullins photography marketing. Tomorrow I'll be thinking about making a YouTube film, thinking in very big letters.
When was the last time you did a YouTube film?
The next day might be F16, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But usually it doesn't flow like that. But the finances and stuff like that I hate. That, like, just business maintenance, that kind of stuff is repetitive and boring. But I do that.
Are you good at working to? I think you are actually at working to deadlines.
I'd say I was. I think I probably am good at working to deadlines. Yeah. I very much used to be one of those people that would be, you know, if something boring needed doing, I'd go and clean the oven or something, you know, anything other than doing what I need to do.
There's a name for that, isn't there? It's not procrastination. It's when you go and find something else that you want to, constantly sort of leveling. There's an actual condition.
Oh, are you telling me I've got an illness as well as increasing council tax? Oh, wonderful.
Oh, it's all bad news today. Question 2. Have you ever had to resort to the table plan, the guest book, or invitation to remind you of the couple's names at a wedding? You know who this is from. I did say Andy Stoney, but of course we know him as Howling Boxer. Oh, sorry, I've just set the dog off. No, Barney, don't worry, that was a sound effect. He sat behind me. Sorry, darling. Have you had to resort to the table plan, the guest book, or the invitation to remind you? Well, never the invitation. I don't think I've ever received a... Very rarely I've seen an actual wedding invitation. Guest book, no. Table plan? No, I always check my email like just before I go into the wedding to double check. I nearly always know the bride off by heart because it's usually who I've been speaking to, and the groom sometimes I have no idea until the morning, and then I think, I better just double check so I know how to say it. And then I rarely actually speak to them by their name. So what do you call them,
on
then?
One occasion I totally got both their names totally wrong.
Oh, you have?
Like totally wrong. Just once. I don't know. Let's just say they were called Mary and Mark, and I referred to them as
Bob and Barbara.
Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill. Oh dear.
Didn't go down very well.
No, I'm sure it didn't.
But I think generally you've been in the loop the week or so before the wedding. You're kind of in the loop of names and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah. A question from Facebook, Kev.
Okay, so as is tradition, I'll start with the bottom, the latest one, which came in 1 day ago. And then we'll do 2, actually, because one is more of a humorous thing. Jeremy Henderson says, what tattoos for a YouTube channel? He's thinking about having Kevin and Neil on his knuckles.
Well, you won't fit, will you? Katie? Oh, you would, actually, yeah. Oh, hang on a minute. Count your fingers here. Yeah, perfect. Which one goes on which hand? Left or right?
Yeah, you're right. They do both fit, don't they?
Kevin, Neil. Yeah. Well, there's no room for the hand. You could have that. You could have that on your chest.
Yeah, or your forehead. You say forehead or forehead?
I don't know.
It's wrong. It's forehead.
So that's a nice idea.
Paul Waring says, "Are either of you a member of the many professional institutions that are around? There's the classic ones like the Societies of Wedding Photographers or the SWPP."
Yep.
As well as groups like This Is Reportage or Masters of Wedding Photography, to name a tiny amount. Yeah. Are either of you currently members of anything like this, or have been in the past, or even thought about creating some sort of club? The ones I mentioned are specifically wedding related, as that's what I know, but I'm sure other genres exist too.
It was that famous comic that said, I would never join a club that would have me as a member. Was it Groucho?
Marx, Groucho Marx, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think we've both been members. I don't think you are, and I'm not a member of the SWPP anymore. And that's not because I don't respect them as an organisation or what they do and so on and so forth. But I just don't feel it fits with my requirements and what I need as a professional right now. I like the idea they do their big events. Don't think they've done them have they done them for a while?
It's this week.
Was it this week? Oh, there we go.
It's this week now. So the SWPP convention
doesn't that underline my my knowledge of
Friday,
it?
Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, there'll be a whole load of people listening to this on Monday, which is today in your world, and they'll be going, "Oh, I hope it's on because I'm going on Friday."
Are you speaking at it?
No, I'm not. No.
Well, we've both spoken. I think you've done far more speaking engagements at that than I, but. It's a fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really good 3 or 4 days that I used to spend doing that. But I don't belong to it anymore. I don't think it brings me benefit.
No, I'm not a member of it either for different reasons. But yeah, it was very good. It was good when I was in it. I got a lot out of it, and I'm sure it is still very good. And the convention, I'm sure, is still very good too.
Great social event.
Yeah, I'm not a member of those various other things. This is reportage, all that kind of stuff.
Why? Why?
I'll be pretty blunt. I just don't see the point in giving other wedding photographers my money effectively for little in return, apart from the ability to enter a competition that you have to pay for and get a badge that sticks on your website. Now, that is brutal. There are, I'm sure, other elements of all of these organizations where you get value for money. I know, for example, 9 Dots, which I'm also not a member of, but I know that they look after their members. They have event during COVID. They really kind of stepped up to the mark and helped people out and got contracts done by lawyers and various other things. So the Fearless, I think, is run by Hugh Nuglian, something like that. Hugh Nuglian,
right?
Who I've never met. I'm not a member of Fearless.
It's a bit like your drinks reception. It's run by Drinks Reception.
He is. Oh, I had to say. I said that about 8 times last night to a set of Norwegian people who probably thought, "What on earth is going on?" So Hugh, I think, is very philanthropical. He gives money away, so he gives quite a lot of his profits to, I think, Water Aid. So yeah, that kind of stuff I'm fully on board with. I'm not. I just don't see the point in giving money to societies, companies, just for them to then say, right, enter the competition. It's going to cost you £5 an image, and you get a badge. And frankly, that's because my business is doing well enough without those badges. And what do the badges get you? If people book you because you've got a badge and not because of your pictures, then probably the client isn't really doing their research right.
Yeah, I don't know clients that would do that. I've certainly not met any anyway.
No, but I know photographers who think that's the case. That's the thing. I've got I've got all of these badges on my website, and that will. It will help, of course. I'm not saying that's a negative thing, but some photographers spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a month just to try and get these awards, and that's you're creeping into into what's the important element. Is it ego or is it business?
Yeah, the award-winning thing. At one stage, it seemed to me to be more important than it is now. People aren't driven by that anymore. I think clients are more photo literate than they ever were, and so they know what they like, and they're not swayed by the fact you've got a badge or an award like I think they were at some stage.
Maybe, I don't know. I think I say award winning on my website and stuff, but I don't have any stickers or badges or anything like that. And even when I was winning those awards with SWPP and various other things, my business was doing all right.
Yeah, the awards thing though is a whole new other topic probably. There are some mental benefits, aren't there, Kev, to being recognised by your peers, and of course there's the process and an important one at that at having to improve your work to take part, which might not come with a badge, but you get the chance to sort of benchmark yourself, your work against others and with others, and hasn't that got value too? Maybe not business value, but emotional empowerment.
Yeah.
Huh. Is it only about the money then?
Every good business person should look at any outgoing as an investment. business outgoing should be an investment of some kind.
Yep.
So whether that's marketing or advertising or branding or whatever, if you want to spend £150 a month on a membership to a society, and you get at least that value back, and that's something you can tangibly ascertain. So whether that is just simply you think that actually I get legal help, and that's worth £150 a month to me, I can tell you now it's not worth £150, but if you think it is, then fine. Or you think that if I win an award, I will get more than £150 a month in terms of bookings from that, then that's fine. You've got to account for that. Otherwise, it's pointless, isn't it? And it's the same for any outgoing. Now, I'm not saying I'm a saint. I've got shitloads of stuff that goes out of my bank account that's pointless.
Hang on a minute. Let's start to look at your direct debits, Mullins.
Mostly horse insurance and stuff like that. But that's really what I would advise you to do. Think about what the rewards will be, whilst at the same time thinking about the rewards of the people who run these societies.
Sometimes is it just belonging to something, that feeling of belonging that can be a good thing, though, because you can't. It's difficult to put a value on that feeling of belonging.
I would
feeling of being in a club that you think, I'm with people that I can share my time with, that have shared experience, that are interested in the same things and probably want to talk about the same things that I want to talk about. And that has an inherent value as well, doesn't it? Well,
you have to put a cost on that. How much are you willing to spend on that, and is that something that you think will give you let's say it's £150 worth of income back, essentially, because it's all well and good spending money on fluffy things like companionship and everything, which is fine, but you can't just have like all of these things that go out that have they have to be tangibly, like I'm going to start spending my money on elocution lessons. But it has to bring money back into the business. Now, this is different for your personal life, of course, because that's you buy things because you enjoy things. But from a business point of view, at the end of the day, you've got to balance your books. And if you've got lots of outgoings for things that are not bringing the same amount or more back in, then it's your books aren't going to balance. And that's ultimately what you've got to do. So I know the people that win these awards, if they think it brings them in more business, then that's their prerogative, and that's the way they would balance their books.
Kev, I think you're secretly wanting to be an accountant.
I could quite happily sit at my desk all day. I think I could do that.
Really?
Yeah, I do sometimes. When you've got to get up and go to the toilet, I do think, oh God, really? I'll go to the toilet. God, what an effort.
I tell you what I bought the other day, Kev. Hang on, let me see if I can grab it here.
A commode.
No, so I don't have to move.
You sat on it now.
No, that's it. I'm on my commode. Hold on a minute.
No, it's not a commode. A commode's a dress, isn't it? I didn't mean that.
No, it's a kimono is a dress, Kev.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Get the right thing. Look at that. Okay. This is, I saw this on Dragon's Den, RBR, leg flow. And I spent a long time at my desk, and somebody had invented. It's essentially it's got lots of sort of protruding small things on it all over it, and you put your feet on it and you rock them backwards and forward. And it was invented by a guy who'd got a DVT issue on a flight, and it almost took his life. And he invented this thing, and it's now for use in offices and on aeroplanes. There we go, Kev. RBR. Apparently, it halves the risk. They did all the medical stuff, I think, or the clinical trials, whatever it's called, in New Zealand. Halves the or takes the risk down significantly of getting a DVT while you're sat at your desk or on a long haul flight or something like that.
Yeah, it's a real thing, isn't it? I remember I had a dalliance with a girl in school, like when you're like a 13-year-old, and she actually died at the age of 16 from DVT.
No,
flying to Australia.
Oh my word.
Yeah, got off the plane and that was it.
God, yeah. It's a very real thing. I was, you know how they say, I will not be investing in you today. 4 out of the 5 dragons said no, and I couldn't believe it. But I bought the product. I saw it, thought, I'm buying that as I was watching Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Next question. Oh, did we? Was that a two-parter, that one, or was that it?
No, that was it. Yeah, I just miserably Mullinsed it.
You miserably Mullinsed it. You've been Mullinsed. There's a new T-shirt in that. Janice K. Hello, Neil. Hello, Kevin. I upgraded to an XT4 camera as I was interested in learning how to shoot video, e.g. short travel films, vlogs, personal family home videos, perhaps even a short promo video for brands or documentary-style family photography. Are there any basic camera settings you would recommend for a beginner to start with? Is there a free video editing software you would recommend to get started? Thanks in advance. Keep up the great work. From Janice K. Thank you, Janice. So, basic camera settings. Well, from the get-go, 24 or 25 frames a second to get that. We're looking for a smooth look here. Shutter speed 1/48th if you're at 24 frames a second. 50th if you're at 25 frames a second. Basically double your frame rate. So, start there. And Kev, we'll start with that more cinematic look for starters, won't we?
Yeah, you want cinematic.
Yeah, cinematic look. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say for filming, definitely there's no such thing as kind of a default really in that. Well, no, there is, but you want to understand. I suppose what I mean is there's no kind of switch on and just let the camera deal with it kind of setting. No. You need to understand the difference between frames per second and shutter speed and all that kind of stuff, which is very simple to understand. But yeah, I mean, I would, if you're using the XT4, there's a lot of stuff in there, such as the shooting F-log, the compression ratios, all of those. But yeah, just understand the frames per second shutter speed, because that's the thing that will give you that cinematic look, or will give you the blocky look, or it will give you the digital look. Buy
yourself a variable ND filter to go on your lens, so that you're not having to advance your shutter speed too much, so it all looks a bit digital.
And free software, I think there's quite a lot of free software out there. I think if you're on a Mac, you have the whatever the Apple video software is called that allows you to do basic editing. Windows is the same.
iMovie,
Windows has Windows Movie Maker, which is a similar thing, although it was taken away from Windows 11, but they're bringing it back. But there are also, you can get things like Premiere Pro Rush. I'm not sure if that's free, but it's like a cut down version of Premiere Pro, which will be cheaper. And there are, there will be like open source video editors. If you want truly free but good, bang into Google open source video editing software, and that will be a good place to start.
Fantastic. Thank you, Janice. From Facebook then, Kev. We're motoring through these today.
Okay. John, sorry, I'm deciding which one to do. Both of them are really long, and I thought I'll just go.
All the time in the world, Kev, because we've got no guest today.
So that's true.
All the time in the world. Go for it, Kev.
All right. John Walton says...
Hang on a minute. It's not a long question. You're just going to do it at half speed.
He says, hey, blokes. I wonder where he's from.
What?
Hey, blokes. I wish to start off by thanking you for giving me something to listen to whilst I was stuck working at home during the height of the Rona. I love how it's been...
the Rona?
The Rona, yeah. Everybody calls it that now.
Do they?
The Rona. Yeah, I got myself a dose of the Rona, didn't I? Bloody awful thing. I had to stay home.
We don't call it
the Rona. Of YouTube.
The Rona round here. The Rona has practically disappeared from the news at the moment for obvious reasons. Disasters, horrible things going on in the world. I spotted the other day a whole news bulletin. I think it was the news at 10. Not one mention of the Rona. But it still exists, as you know by your letter from the council today.
It does, indeed. It's still here. Oh, Rona. Anyway, John goes on to say, this group and the podcast has motivated me to invest further in my passion and enroll in my first workshop. Oh. And he says, thanks to Mike Wotton for pointing me in the direction with Peter Coulson. So Peter Coulson is who the workshop is with. My question may be answered a tad late, but still feel it should be asked regardless. Do you have any tips, advice, insights, or just great stories about workshop experiences and the way for an average punter to get the most out of it? I'm an extrovert, but still I'm incredibly nervous about attending and being trained alongside professionals. My own inferiority complex is running out. Regards, was from Australia. See, I knew it. When he just said, "Hey blokes," I knew he was from Australia.
Yeah.
Instagram at evp.shoots.
There's one thing about workshops and attending them, and it's interesting, the fact that you said extrovert. Sometimes when you go to workshops, there's one person that pretty much grabs the attention entirely for the entire workshop, has something to say about everything, argues with the person who's supposedly the expert who's taking the workshop or leading the workshop. Somebody that takes over, somebody that doesn't know quite when to be quiet. And I think sometimes that person isn't always aware they're doing it either.
Yeah, you're quite right. There is often people like that.
How do you deal with that? Because you do so many more workshops than me, Kev. You are the badge wearer on this one. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it does happen, and I tend to shut it down pretty early. I can identify it pretty quick, and I'm very good at kind of pushing things away, and and then kind of saying, look, you know what, I'll sit with me at lunchtime, and we'll kind of deal with some stuff. Yeah. So and I also have a red list on my website. So if their name comes up again, it automatically says it's booked, fully booked.
No, you're joking.
Yeah, I'm joking a bit.
I believed you for a moment. I thought, well, he's a technical lad. He's probably got the ability.
So the one thing I would say, right, so I'd not heard of John Coulson, right? Peter Coulson, sorry, and I've just looked at his website.
John's his brother.
John's his brother, yeah.
He does a cookery. He does a cookery course,
and incredible images, very female orientated. So I'll say that before you think Helmut Newton in his prime. Right. So not work-friendly website, put it that way. However, lighting and everything is wonderful. So it looks to me like this is a studio-based workshop, which I would say the thing to be aware of is, and I'm absolutely sure Peter probably has this all under control, but I have seen workshops, I'm not actually been on them, but I've seen them at SWPP, in fact, where it's a bit of a bun fight to take the pictures. So the photographer will set everything up and tell you about the lighting and everything, and then you get like 5 minutes, but there's 10 photographers all clicking away. The model doesn't know where to look, all of that kind of stuff. So just make sure that you get allocated your right amount of time and various things like that. But yeah, go into it. I always think whenever I go on workshops, that as long as I come away with one thing that I think, well, that actually was worthwhile. Yeah. It only has to be one thing, whether it might even be a one-liner thing they say rather than, something that's like, I don't know, could be like, did you know this tool in Lightroom existed? Yeah. And I'd be like, whoa, no, I didn't. And that will actually save me a load of time.
If it changes your life, Mullins, you want to be there.
If it changes my life, yes, absolutely. Then I will be there and I will invest in it because I will get a reward. But yeah, that's the thing. So don't over expect, I suppose is what I'm saying. Go there thinking, I want to come away with this with one or two things that I can take away. And the next thing you have to do, and this is really important, is implement it straight away. Whether that's just, and by that I mean, whether that's just take notes and look at those notes every day or every couple of days until you actually get to do your shoot or whatever. Don't, take it all in on the day and then think, well, that was great. And then, 6 months later, you're doing your first shoot and you think, what did he say about the lighting?
There was something I read, and I'm going to get the number wildly wrong, but it had a 9 in front of it. It was a 2-digit number. 90% of people don't actually put into practice what they learn at workshops, speeches, talks, training courses, so on and so forth.
You know what? I think that's just true of general life. I think 90% of people only take on board 90% of what they hear generally in life.
90%? What? Take on board
10%. 10%. Yeah. 90% they don't.
Yeah.
They only people, we're all guilty of it. We just hear what we want to hear and then we do that. We do the rest, the things we like.
Yeah.
I think, I can absolutely think that's true of workshops, but also it's true of, everything, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, enjoy your workshop. I mean, they are fun to go to. I haven't been to a workshop for a long time, Kev. And I think it is a good way to, you need to constantly invest in yourself and what you're doing, as long as you choose the right things that you want to learn. I think actually as you go through the industry, at some stage you start doing more one-to-ones, don't you? You go and invest in something which is specifically built, bespokely built for you and what you need. But you don't start off that way necessarily. But good. No. Enjoy. I thought that was the long question, Kev.
That was one of the long questions. The one above it is even longer.
Is it?
From Darren Goldstein.
Dig in. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Tennessee or where's Jonathan Crilly from? I don't know.
Slough?
Slough? Do you want to know Slough or Tennessee?
Let's go to Slough.
Jonathan's going to be saying, I don't live in Slough. What are you talking about? Hi Neil, hi Kev, hope you're both well. Thanks to Kevin for the street photography workshop in Edinburgh, yes.
Oh, Jonathan Crilly lives in Scotland.
He's Scottish, he's not Sloughish.
I knew I recognised the name.
Sloughish. Back in December. Yeah, it was good to get that one away, wasn't it? Because that was about the time we were all worrying about the Rona stopping everything again.
Oh, it did, didn't it, in the end, when another variant came? And then I did finally get them up and running, and a bloody storm came in from the Atlantic and blew that one off course. I had to cancel that one as well.
Oh, they know when you're planning. It's your fault. Yeah. Whenever you plan a street photography workshop, we get a storm that has a name given to it. Given your demand for the questions, I thought I might contribute. What are your opinions on computational photography? Hang on, this sounds clever. We're seeing more cameras that are using computational photography to support autofocus. Olympus has dedicated modes for planes and trains and automobiles and cats and dogs. Is there enough space on the dial? Soon we will likely have cameras using similar computational photography as we see in mobile phones. So artificial... here we go. Get the bokeh chicken out here. Artificial... Yep. And do you think the increased automation will take away the essence of photography, or will it improve it by allowing the photographer to focus on the framing and the composition? We had a very similar question, I think, last week or maybe the week before. I think
that stuff will come to entry-level cameras. I don't think it will make its way into professional style cameras. Because the engineering teams and everything are working at making cameras, they're not software engineers. But I do think maybe entry level point and shoot type cameras might end up with that kind of technology. I mean, the AI bokeh.
Barney's going mad at the back here. He keeps hearing chickens.
Bless him. It's awful in phones. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care whether you've got the latest £600,000 Apple iPhone with gold-plated stuff on it. You can tell that it's digitally manipulated.
You can.
Now, I'm not saying that that's not a good picture, and I'm not saying that it's phenomenal that phones can create these images. But to a trained eye, you can see digitally created.
Well, it's a bit like Zoom, isn't it? When people sort of add the not the fuzzed out bit in the background, and it looks awful.
Yeah, exactly. And, I'm sure over time that probably will get better. But no, it's not a concern for me, to be totally honest with you. Not that it should be a concern, really, but it's not something that I expect to be in my thought process. I don't have much space in my brain for new worries.
If there was a bokeh button, would you use it?
A bokeh button?
A bokeh button.
A bokeh button.
Do you know, in all the years, I still don't know how to pronounce this word.
Okay.
Would you have a bokeh button though? Would you use your bokeh button? No.
If somebody was willing to pay me to use a bokeh button, I would use it.
You'd use it, but you don't think they'll? I do think the increased automation will come. It's bound to, isn't it? Why wouldn't you put it? You've always said, why would you not put video in a camera? Because the next brand will have video in the camera, and people will say, well, if you're not going to put video in that camera, I'll go to that brand and I'll use that one. So when they start putting increased automation and bokeh buttons and whatever in cameras, of course everybody's going to get on that same bandwagon, aren't they? Surely. Yeah,
but if you think back to the conversations we've had with Andreas about this, his Andreas, of course, used to work for Sony as well. So he's an industry stalwart.
Yeah.
His take on it is that, camera, the teams that build the cameras for these companies are camera makers. They are not software engineers in that respect.
Yeah.
So they will not have the R&D budgets and everything that like Apple have and Huawei and whoever else makes phones these days.
Yeah.
You often buy a phone because, in fact, whenever you see a mobile phone advert now on the telly, they never ever talk about the phone. It's always about the photo and video capabilities. That's all you will ever see in an advert for a mobile phone. I guarantee you. Look out for the next one. And that's because that's their selling point. That's their primary selling point.
It's the experience of it's experience of using a product these days, isn't it?
Yeah, but the only thing they can really sell you, visually is nobody. You never see a mobile phone advert where they say, yes, the decibels in our headset is now 34. It used to be 32. So you will get a crisper, louder audio experience when you're chatting to your grandmother. That means nobody cares, and that hasn't changed in decades and decades. So what they're doing is, they're selling us based on the things that they're investing in, which is the artificial intelligence, the camera elements of things, which is quite right, because that's what they're meant to be doing. But for camera makers, that's not it. I don't think so anyway. But yeah, I totally agree with you that we will see that kind of drift in, but I really don't think personally, and I may well be right off the mark, but personally, I don't see there being a massive investment in that for the higher end cameras. Because if you're being paid to, let's just say shoot a wedding or shoot a commercial shoot, it's just not going to happen, is it? You're not going to use it, I don't think.
No. Would you send
a text? Agree with me, do you?
Well, I think the march of technology is such that things that we say probably won't happen will happen, because inevitably people want to buy it.
Yeah.
And the prosumer, the consumer, and the professional camera are very much getting so much closer and closer that there one day might not be such definition in the choice between the two.
Yeah, maybe you're right. We'll see.
I mean, if you look at Fujifilm's range, wow! I mean, most of these cameras you'd very happily use out on a commercial shoot, wouldn't you? Really, there aren't many that I think you couldn't use.
Well, I think there were a few, like the entry level ones that you wouldn't use. But yeah, point taken. You're right, probably about the march of technology.
Yeah.
I honestly, we probably will get there, but I don't think it's a thing on the agenda right now.
No. Jonathan Crilly in Slough in Edinburgh. Thank you very much.
They're more likely to invest in global sensors.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They're more likely to invest in technology that allows you to shoot at higher ISO, cleaner images. Yeah. That is far more important to them, I think, at the moment.
Right. Shall we do this long question, Kev?
Yes, although I haven't read it yet. So bolt yourself in. Darren Goldstein, who we, of course, interviewed some months ago. Hey, Neil. Hey, Kevin. Oh, so he put in brackets. See what I did there? Gave Neil some much-needed top billing. Wink. I killed the moment by reading that bit out, didn't I?
I'm used to it being the other way around. Don't worry. I always, whenever we walk into a room, Kev makes me walk at least 2 paces behind him. Neil, stay there. Stay there. I'm walking in first. You follow me. All right, Kev. Go on.
So it's just so hard up for questions these days. I thought I'd throw you a bone. Okay. I was shooting a scene on location yesterday of a couple walking towards a chain link fence.
All right.
The scene started with them about 10 to 15 meters away, and they were walking towards my lens, which was on the opposite side of the fence. So he was shooting through the fence.
Right.
I was using my X-T4 and 50 to 140 millimeter focus set to continuous and custom AF set to multi-purpose. I had an extremely difficult time keeping the couple in focus while they were approaching said fence.
Yes.
Even when they got to the fence, I couldn't quite lock in focus as it kept snapping to the chain links.
Yes.
Even when we ran through the scene a few times, I wasn't able to lock focus with a number of methods. I tried changing my custom AF settings using different sized AF zone, and even tried manual focus, which was a disaster for someone like me who is so out of practice shooting manual focus. Not to mention it was about minus 15 degrees centigrade Celsius. centigrade, Celsius. So my hands weren't quite working the way they normally would.
No,
so my question is, what focus method or AF settings would I have applied to best capture this scene sharply and avoid having my client think I had one too many pints at our lunch break? Cheers. The answer, Darren, is I would have just stood up a bit, shoot over the fence.
Yeah, but if you're shooting through the fence for a reason, is there some sort of...
I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that wasn't given in the question is the focus point method. He mentioned that he went through different autofocus zones. Yeah. The answer to this, I think, is to use single point focus, not one of the zone focuses. Continuous focus is fine, but use single point and make the focus point small. So it's constantly looking through those little holes that the chain link fence is making.
Yeah.
That will do it. You will, with your with your continuous focus options, you do have various templates in the XT4. I usually go for the one that has a picture of a lion on it. These days on the XT4, I used to go with the one with the skier on it, but now I go for the one with the lion on it. And I think that one's the one that's marked as avoid things if they come into the frame that are not the original thing that you were trying to focus on. You want a lion, you want a picture of a lion, and you want the smallest focus point, or not necessarily the smallest, but small enough to go through the little hole.
There we go. And I would also bring along a portable heater. -15 is unreasonable. You can't be expected to work in that and do a professional job, surely.
Yeah, sounds chilly, doesn't it?
It does sound chilly. Right, do you want a question from Amsterdam, all about the X100, or would you like to give some wedding advice? And when I say wedding advice, actually, this is giving somebody some wedding advice. Nothing to do with the photography.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'm good at that. I've had 3 of them.
You haven't had 3? What are you talking about?
I have. I've had 1 to the first one, the mistake, and then 2 to the current one.
Kevin, I don't think you should refer to your first marriage as the mistake.
Well, that's the polite way of turning it. I call it very many other things sometimes.
I'm sure you do. So where were we? Did you want to give some wedding advice? We probably have some time to do
by the way,
both.
we will get to all the other questions as well. So if you are thinking, I'm in Amsterdam waiting for my X100 question, we will get to it.
Yeah, we will. This is from Chico Limjap. Chico Limjap. I'd like to know where you're from. Let's have a look at your email address. No, it's a Gmail one, so I don't know. Dear Kev and Neil, question for the show. I'm coming from a little town, and this little town has wedding receptions that have a formula. And the formula is registration, welcome remarks. Blimey, this sounds like a meeting, Kev. Welcome remarks. Entrance of entourage. Entrance of bride and groom. Dances. Traditions such as cake cutting, champagne toasting. Thanksgiving prayer. Dinner. Videos. Speeches. Games. Parents' message. Well, the parents' message is within the speeches, isn't it? Oh, you have more? SDE. What's SDE?
What was the letters?
SDE. Sierra Delta Echo.
I don't know.
Well, no. Well, maybe it's the Sierra Delta Echo. Couple thank yous. Dancing. Phew, he says. My fiancé and I don't want this to be formulaic, and quite honestly, it really gives a reception a template feel. We want a break from the usual, but still have some sort of sequence. So, I'd like to ask how wedding receptions go in the UK. What he's looking for here is something to tell the people that are requesting the formulaic approach and what we would say. I'm curious to know. I'd love to hear about it from you guys. I'm sure both of you have seen and captured many different things on your side of the pond. We are planning for our wedding and are very curious to know how it's done in other countries like the UK. So we want some ideas. Thank you very much. Chico from the little town.
Yeah, no, Chico he's the little town next to the big town, isn't he?
He is.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember.
Chico, so he lives in the little town next to Chicago, I think, was the big town.
So it's America, yes.
Yeah, it was in America.
Yeah. And actually, as I read through the formula, as you've called it, then, Thanksgiving prayer, and the speeches, and then the parents, all those sort of,
I wonder I still don't know what SDE is.
No idea. Yeah,
SDE wedding.
Side.
What is SDE in wedding? A same day edit. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
A same day edit is a film or photos created on the day of your wedding by your trusted suppliers. It usually lasts for about 4 to 6 minutes and includes the highlights of the wedding or event. It serves as the conclusion of the event. That is why it's usually played at the end of the reception program.
Right. I've done 2 of those in my life.
Oh, I can't think of many things worse.
One of them was for, we have a big football manager over here, who of course suffered a heart attack on the Sky News, or the Sky Sports studio, didn't he? Glenn Hoddle. And it was his daughter's wedding. And he wanted a same day, or she wanted a same day edit. We did it. But I tell you what, it was stressful. Name drop a little bit in there, but I know a lot of people in other countries have no idea about our football industry. But it was stressful. They wanted it. They wanted to send it out to the world, so they did.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrifying.
I had Natalie, who works with me. She was editing pictures. I was dropping cards into her. She was editing pictures as we went along. Then I had to make a photo film up between 11 o'clock and 12:30, and also still keep photographing the dancing now and then.
Insanity. Pure insanity.
I don't want to do that again. So it is. I mean, that's your formula. I think there are different formulas in different parts of the world. I mean, you just have to take control and say we don't want to do that. We want to, hence five or six people, whatever that number was, being on a mountaintop in Norway, because you can be absolutely sure that's not the regular formula for weddings in Norway.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've just got to take control of it. I know. I would imagine it's quite difficult in some cases because of parents and pressure and various other things. But ultimately, 'tis your wedding.
Yeah,
'tis your day, and it only comes around once or twice or 3 times in my case. So yeah, you've got to do it in your own way. That does sound. I mean, that whole just reading out that list, listening to that list, it makes me feel sorry really for the photographers. Rather than, or as well as the bride and groom and the guests.
This is the reason, though, you chose to shoot weddings in the way that you do, because you didn't want to attend weddings that had the concept that it was going to be formulaic from the outset.
Yeah, but let's be honest that most weddings in the UK are formulaic, but the formula is less dramatic than that. Let's say, so they do still usually have a first kiss, ring exchange, walk down the aisle, cut the cake, dance. All of that stuff generally that's basically the formula of a British wedding, isn't it? And yes, of course, you then have all of the the kind of portraits and group shots and stuff, which is the bit that I step away from. It's interesting. I remember watching Joe Buisink's video. He released a video about behind the scenes of him shooting a wedding. Joe Buisink is a wonderful, wonderful photographer, documentary photographer,
and a wonderful human being as well.
The video was mostly about him managing these situations, telling Dad where to stand. Telling the first look and where that was going to be. So there was a planning meeting in the morning about where the first look would be. All of these things that I just thought, wow, I just couldn't. I wouldn't. I'd rather be a dustbin man on strike.
You do choose the strangest things to compare what you'd rather do in life with.
But no, listen, I'm not saying that it's wrong, because every culture has its own different ways. I mean, Indian weddings over here are nothing compared to Indian weddings in India, and they have their own, cultural elements for very good reasons.
Yes.
But ultimately, Chico, you live in the small town next to the big town. Time to stand up and make the big decisions.
In the little town. Chico, invite us. Where's our invite? We'll change it for you a bit.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Right, I think we've got time for one more question. So make this choose wisely, Mullins. Choose wisely.
Okay. This one. Wade Brown. He sent 2 questions, but I'm only going to do one. I'm going to do the first one. The second one we'll get to another time.
Will you remember to do that second one?
Well, I will, because he wanted my little emoji con.
All right, okay.
So I'm looking for all of the questions without the little emoji con.
Without Mini Mullins?
Yeah, Mini Mullins. I wonder, I terrified the entire family by dressing up as the Hulk last weekend.
I saw that, actually. Yeah. It's... Why it sort of popped up in my feed, and I didn't investigate why you did that.
I was hoping that there was an emoji con for the Hulk, but there isn't.
Well, why did you dress as the Hulk? Was there a reason?
Yeah. I always dress up as the Hulk on a Saturday, don't you?
No.
No, I said to the family during the week, right, Saturday, all the news and everything's been negative. So I said, right, let's have a Disney night. We'll dress up.
Right.
We'll play Sound Delicious or whatever it is, which is quite fun. Yeah. I think that's the thing I sent to you for Christmas. I don't know if you played it yet. It was quite fun.
We played it in Norway.
And the winner will get to pick their film off Disney Plus.
Right.
And which puts Gemma into a spin of anxiety straight away because she can't stand anything that's animated. So I said, right, we'll dress up, we'll play that, and we'll watch a film. There'll be no phones allowed in the room, all that kind of stuff. No. So we came home. We'd been somewhere. We came home about 5:30, something like that. I said, I'm going to go and have a shower. So I went up and had a shower. Dressed, I was like Superman becoming Hulk. I had my shower. I covered myself head to toe in bright green paint. I put a wig. I had this inflatable green vest sorry, it wasn't inflatable. I was just wearing a tight t-shirt.
Yeah, all right.
That was it. Yeah, so I had all my muscles out. And I went downstairs to Gemma, who was in the kitchen at the time, doing something, and she had her back to me. I went downstairs. She screamed her head off when she saw me.
Did. Marlon standing there going,
screamed her head off. Albie, who at the time was on his Oculus in the living room, so he came running into the kitchen without taking his Oculus off because he thought, he came to see what was going on with his mum.
Yeah.
He came herring into the kitchen. So those who have Oculuses will know that if you come out of the game zone and you go out to the boundary, it becomes real life. So you can see through your goggles in real life, but you can only see in black and white, and it's a little bit grainy. It's like looking through an old Charlie Chaplin film, but real life. So he came bounding into the kitchen in black and white with his goggles on and saw me turn around and look at him.
But he had no reference point of the fact that you painted yourself green.
Proper terrified himself.
But he did.
He smashed his phone, all sorts of things.
No.
Rosa then came downstairs to see what was going on. She screamed the house down.
You only wanted to have a Disney night. You are aware that the Hulk isn't very Disney.
And then I was like, am I the only one that's bothered then?
Were you the only one in fancy dress?
Yeah, but then Rosa and Albie did go upstairs and try and make amends a little bit.
Did they?
Bless them. And we did watch a Disney film. And we did play Sound Delicious.
What did you watch?
But it was humorous. I thought it was funny. Albie's still having heart palpitations.
Right, okay. What was the question anyway?
Oh, yeah. Good day, gents. Craig Brown.
Yeah.
Definitely Australian.
Yeah, we got another Australian.
I'm very much an amateur photographer shooting for fun, and I wanted to get your thoughts if someone like myself would also be taking photos at a wedding you were working at. I have a friend's wedding coming up, and I thought maybe I would bring my X100V along to take some snaps for fun, practice, memories, all of the above.
We had this one, Kev, last week, I'm sure, didn't we?
I don't know. Did he maybe sent it in via email as well as on the Facebook group?
Oh, maybe.
We did have a similar one, I remember.
Yeah.
All right, Wade. I'm not going to answer that one. I'll answer your second question.
Well, no, we can answer that. The answer I think you gave was don't get in the professional's way. Enjoy your day and know when to put the camera down. Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. Essentially, that was it. Right. And so the second part then was, seeing as you were struggling for questions, I'm not sure if it's the norm, but a lot of the photos I tend to take, edit, lean towards black and white rather than color. Yeah. Is this because it's easier to make an average photo? We've done both of these questions last week.
We did, yeah.
How did that happen? Were you reading off the Facebook group? Or?
No, I wasn't. Oh, maybe he sent that in as an email as well. I don't know. Do you want me to do the quick one from I can't edit that out because it's got that whole thing you did about the Hulk, and I want to leave that in.
Yeah, Wade. If it's Wade, listen. Yeah, you're in Australia, so I can call you mate. Listen, mate. Don't send emails and put them on the Facebook group because it sends us into a right spin.
And we'll take all your amber nectar away.
Wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
No, that's true. Right, go on. Let's have that one from Amsterdam. Gonzalo Mullin. Mullin. There's another one. This one's not a Mullins though. Hello, gents. First of all, love the podcast and the authentic interaction between you two. You make a great couple. Could I be your fourth wedding then, Kev? Quick question, QQ, that is more of a curiosity, a wish regarding the X100V. Do you think you'll ever get a mechanical focus ring? I feel that's the only thing to make this camera absolutely perfect for me. I'm not a fan of the focus by wire method.
I doubt it.
No?
I've got no real reason to think that other than The reason why I said I doubt it is because the first lens that they built in the X100 lasted for 10 years or 9 years, all the way through to the X100V before they changed the lens. So I suspect the one that's in the X100V now will be here for the next 4 or 5 generations of X100 cameras. So I doubt anything will change in that time. Thereafter, who knows?
Who knows? The other question he had, when using the camera with manual settings, aperture and shutter, but with auto ISO, I can't seem to lock the exposure. Is there a workaround for this, or am I the only one in the whole widest world with this issue?
So it depends on how you should be able to. So if you're shooting, he was in aperture priority. Was that the question? The point?
He's manual settings, aperture and shutter, but with auto ISO. Everything's auto ISO, right. But everything else is manual.
Okay, so your exposure, you're locking the exposure manually for your shutter and aperture because you're setting them up manually. They're not going to change. Auto ISO is the unknown variant at that point, so the camera will make its best guess at trying to make the exposure correct. Yeah, you should be able to half depress the shutter. It will build the exposure, and that will lock in that exposure until you take the shot, or you can use the exposure lock button on the back of the camera. That should do it. So the other thing that might be throwing a spanner in the works here is you have a option in your settings, in your button dial settings, for the mechanism for locking both exposure and focus, in fact, and 2 options there. You have a press in or switch. If you have it on pressing, it means you have to, once you press it, you've got to keep your finger on it basically to lock that exposure. Switch means it will switch out every time you press the button. So that might be something worth investigating. But yeah, you should be able to half depress or use the AEL button to lock that exposure.
And good luck.
You've got to
add that.
And get an S on the end of your surname. Much better.
Maybe he's the original one. The S's came along later.
There's only one of him. There's multiples of me. Plurals of me.
And that's it for this week. We will be returning in a couple of weeks' time. We'll have a guest. The book returns, and the most exciting thing is Kev Mullins is going to be. Oh, sorry, Barney. I've just woken Barney up with a knock again. Is that you're going to be here in the studio? What do you think of that, Barney? Absolutely. Really, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
He's looking forward to it too. But you need to keep getting your question. We did well this week, Kev. We were firing through the questions, but we obviously still need you to drive the show with yours. So there are multiple ways you can do it. Kev does Facebook, don't you?
I do Facebook, yes. So Wade, this is especially for you. Facebook is separate to email.
Yeah,
one or other.
You can't send them to both.
We're not clever enough to deal with that.
Clearly. Or send them to click@fujicast.co.uk. The other methods of just getting it through is to go to we can say this again now, the brand new shiny website, Kev.
Yes.
Send it through the contact.
Brand new shiny website. Oh yeah, so there's a couple of things to point out. The brand new shiny website, also the patron, you get up to the front if you're a patron. And the other thing that I meant to mention or I didn't mention was that we are now doing a monthly banner photo thing only in the Facebook group though, sadly for those of you that don't use Facebook, you'll have to just not do it.
Stig's choosing that one, isn't he?
Stig is choosing it. Yeah, the Stig.
The photographic Stig.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Good win this week. Good one this in February. It was a nice picture. Eduardo Ortiz.
Eduardo. Yeah. All right. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Keep sending those questions in, and I'm rushing off the seat as I'm looking at it now, Kev. It'll be the red carpet is rolling out for you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.